Hello and welcome to End Focus, coming to you this week from the Umbrella Chemical Plant in the Arklay Mountains. I am your host, Hilka. Joining me, not as always, is my co-host, Seskra. How are you doing today?
Rosatron has fallen! Now I, Starscrab, will rule the Game Poltercons.
I really hope that didn't peak the hell out of your recording.
Me too. I tried to lean back from the mic. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. As you may hear, kind listeners, Rosalie is not on this episode. She is taking a well-deserved week off because it is vacation time, and also she's not feeling well, so I have asked Seskra to step in so we can still have podcast for you to listen to.
Get that juicy content.
Yeah. I am slowly making peace with the fact that I have to say that word unironically, and I don't love it.
We're part of the problem. We're part of the problem.
We really are, though, is the problem. Because, I used to be able to innocently, make fun of YouTubers, but now we're technically YouTubers.
And Twitch streamers.
And Twitch streamers, yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Before we get into the main part of our episode, I want to remind everybody that we have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/GamePodular. You want to send us some money there to help us do more things and also get the outtakes compilations as a paid reward. You can do it there. You can also send us money on Ko-fi.com/GamePodular, although that's more for one-time things, and the outtakes are only on the Patreon so far. I will try to look into seeing if I could do it on Ko-fi as well. I don't super understand the platform yet, but I'm working on it. You can watch our, as previously mentioned, Twitch streams at twitch.tv/GamePodular. We've got 2 streams this week, I think. Yeah, we're doing Iconoclasts on Friday and then Hollow Knight on Sunday.
Correct, yes.
I remembered. Woo. I know things.
Memory.
And you can watch the VODs for those at youtube.com/@GamePodular streams highlights, where you'll also see highlight compilations and the occasional YouTube short. If you're listening to this on our YouTube channel, be sure to leave us a like. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. And comment what your favorite game from the Triple I Showcase was. Because we'll be getting into that once we get to the news. It's been a while since I've had a segue that smooth into the news, so let's get into our first story.
Like buttery satin.
Which is, of course, the Triple I Initiative Showcase. Mm-hmm. We're not covering the whole showcase, just the games that were announced for Nintendo systems or are already out for Nintendo systems. It is mildly annoying that I have to say that now instead of just Switch, because, I guess people would know if I just said Switch, because Switch and Switch 2, if it runs on Switch, it almost definitely runs on Switch 2. There is a consistently shrinking list of games with compatibility issues, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I think it's smaller now than the Xbox 360 list, which was the first time I've ever encountered incomplete compatibility myself.
Yeah. This was an interesting showcase. It was all indie games, or at least games from indie studios, although there were 1 or 2 in here where I was like, yes, this is a game by an indie studio, but it does have a pretty big IP attached to it.
Yeah, it's an indie studio working under contract for a major developer.
Like our first game, Castlevania Belmont's Curse. Mm-hmm. This is a new Castlevania game from the studio behind Dead Cells. It has beautiful 2.5D graphics. It's set in 1499 France during an invasion by Dracula's forces.
Mm-hmm. Specifically Paris.
It's a French studio. Where were they going to set it? Belgium?
Just to spite people.
Hey, we're Dutch. We're allowed to make fun of Belgium. And one of the bosses they showed off is just straight up Joan of Arc.
Well, you say Joan of Arc, it was like a 12-foot tall Joan of Arc with a lot of fire going on, but it was, among other things, Joan of Arc.
Yeah, straight up maybe not the right word, but she's been corrupted by the evils of Dracula's magic or whatever. Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing was, you alluded to the beautiful 2D graphics, and it would agreed, hard to agree, like sumptuously animated. The whole thing, like to quote Dan Floyd, French animators, they're just off the chain. What are they doing?
Yeah. This is, I think, one of the ones I'm most excited for. I have been playing a lot of Castlevania Order of Ecclesia, and I didn't play a lot of Dead Cells because, as I have alluded to previously, I don't really enjoy roguelikes all that much. But what little of it I did play, I did really like the feel of the combat. Like, that studio knows how to make a nice feeling combat system, and so this should be very exciting.
Yeah, like there's two things that you really want to nail from a game feel perspective when you're doing a Metroidvania, and that's combat and like locomotion, like navigating, getting around.
Yeah.
And I feel confident this studio can nail those parts, and they've clearly also got like the aesthetics of the animation and everything nailed down. So that's mostly the way there. Like, you know, I'm not here to shill. I don't want to hype people up or anything, but like, it's kind of okay if a Castlevania doesn't have a great story. So
Yeah.
it looks like they got a lot of their bases covered here.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe the story is cool. Like, I mean, I've talked before how I enjoy, like, kind of really out there, like, historical fantasy stories. I can't believe I'm bringing up Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter for the third time this month. But that movie's just a lot of fun. And so this kind of setting really appeals to me.
Yeah, like... And I think it's cool because, like, Castlevania is sort of generically European most of the time in a way that's, like, totally fine. But specifically leaning hard into the Parisian, like, Gothic aesthetic can be a lot of fun. Like, that's just straight up Notre Dame in the background, so can't wait to fight, like, you know, a Notre Dame Nosferatu.
Nice.
Yeah, I was trying hard to, like, think of some kind of portmanteau, couldn't quite get there, but...
It feels like it should work, right? But it's just like on the precipice.
Nostradamatu. Was that Romanian? I think I might have just said a really bad slur in Romanian or something.
Let us know, our listeners from Romania. I don't remember the metrics of if we have any of those, but if anyone speaks Romanian, I suppose we'll find out. Leave it in the YouTube comments.
Yeah, tell me how canceled I am.
And this one, we don't have a release date further than 2026.
Yeah.
I do want to take a brief moment to mention something that I found very funny about this showcase that I was going to do at the top, but then I had such a beautiful segue into the first game. Shout out to at NoEscapeVG on Blue Sky for pointing this out. Big fan of their work. There's multiple points during this showcase where they throw out graphics of like no ads, no hosts, just games. And, you know, I get that that's making fun of like the whole Game Awards thing. Like the moment, like the cringe moment from the Game Awards that I always have in my mind is they hired Aisha Tyler to be the host. And she went into the audience with a microphone and she went to the guy dressed as Jacob Fry from Assassin's Creed Syndicate and asked him to pitch a meme.
I felt like my soul shrivel when you said that. I had been blissfully unaware of that until now.
Or like, I think it might have been the same year, but it was around the same time at least, the ad integration with like the Gillette razor robot that they brought out on stage or something. It was so, yeah, like that kind of stuff. It's nice to not have that kind of garbage at a showcase like this, but no ads, brother. These are all ads. It's literally all advertising.
I will say, purely from a viewing experience, truth in advertising about the lack of advertising. Weird phrasing, I know. Wow, it's nice watching a 2.5-hour YouTube video without the video getting interrupted for ads.
Oh, I imagine.
We love it.
But yeah, it's not really a criticism necessarily. It is just a very funny, like, it's just very funny to me.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next game, which is, I guess, DLC, is Rift of the Necrodancer Undertale crossover DLC. I was we have a channel in the official Game Podular Discord server, which you can find the link to join on our website, where me and sometimes other people just like are in that channel live blogging these things as they happen. And so I was like, I recognize this art style. Why is Megalovania playing?
Because it's like, what other song were they gonna... If they picked any other song, they would have been wrong and we would have been justified in saying so.
Yeah. But like before the splash screen of Rift of the Necrodancer came up, I was like, what's going on? How is this happening? But yeah, it's a game that we've talked about on the show previously and has crossover DLC with like a bunch of other indie games as well. I think the last time we talked about it, they added music from Celeste to the game.
I believe that is correct, yeah.
Do you like rhythm games at all?
I do. I'm a huge fan of them. I'm still, like, I'm very much kicking myself for how long I've had to put Unbeatable on the shelf. Because, like, I really want to play that game. Like, the demo for it that came out was already very high up on my list of games I played that year. So yeah. I love me a good rhythm game.
But it came out like a week or so after Silksong or something, right?
Yep. And also just during a very busy time in my life. So like I was able to get in Silksong for the podcast. I have not yet been able to get to Unbeatable. Point being, I love me a good rhythm game. These kinds of DLCs though are like more niche kind of thing, kind of by definition, especially if it's a crossover. Like I imagine if I say Rift of the Necromancer crossover DLC with Undertale, the listener will already know right away exactly whether they're going to buy that or not. Like the only question is, was I aware that this existed? Yes, no. If like as soon as they know that, they can decide. Because like Undertale does have good music, absolutely, but like whether you want to play that in the form of another game's rhythm mechanics is like obviously for you to decide. But
yeah,
I do like this kind of like collaborative effort between smaller studios and smaller devs. Like Toby Fox is plenty busy working on like Deltarune and other projects that I presume we'll hear about whenever those are ready to be revealed. But it's nice that they can make time for little crossover stuff like this.
Did you know that Toby Fox did music for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
Did you know Toby Fox did music for not one, but 2 different Wrestle Kingdom matches?
Yes.
But now the audience knows, too.
I do really like... I agree. I like this kind of crossover stuff as well. Mm-hmm. The example I always love to go to, because it came about... Well, no, because I learned more about it in the interview episode we did with... the communications director at PlayStack, is Balatro has a bunch of like crossover cosmetics with like Dave the Diver and even bigger things like The Witcher 3 and stuff. And it's like more often than not, if I'm remembering correctly, go listen to the episode to get the full story. It's just like, hey, Balatro is everybody's addiction right now. Do you want to do something together? This is like coming from the studios to PlayStack. And PlayStack is just like, yep, sounds good to me. Let's put Geralt on some jokers. I've never played Balatro.
Is Geralt being in Balatro more or less like diegetic than him showing up in Monster Hunter?
He did show up in Monster Hunter World. That's true.
Yep. In a surprisingly elaborate side quest.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was also very funny seeing him use Monster Hunter weapons. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm going to go for less. It's just like, it's contextualized as just friends of Jimbo the clown, jester, Joker. There we go.
Got there.
See, you can tell I've never played Balatro, because if I had, I would just know that.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to shame Hyuka for that, you can find him on Blue Sky at Gear Turbo 12.
Gear12turbo.eurosky.social, baby.
There we go.
Our next game is Super Battle Golf. It is a chaotic multiplayer golf game where everybody plays at the same time and you can attack each other while you're playing. This seems like a fun game to stream, but it could also get really annoying depending on who you're playing with and how they're playing. Like, this is rife for griefing.
Which I think is part of the fundamental appeal. Like, the griefing is a big part of the point.
Yeah.
Like, when this trailer started, my first thought was like, is this going to be sort of like Panya? A shout out to the, like, 4 people who remember Panya, the, like, Korean golf MMO. But this seems to be a little bit more real-time than that. Like, I think the actual golf does happen on a, like, turn-by-turn basis, but the shenanigans and griefing seems to be more, like, just whenever you feel like it. So it looks like it could absolutely be a fun night with friends, but I feel like it sort of needs a sweet spot in terms of how many people are playing simultaneously. Because, like, too many and it just, like, the golf part will never get done, but too few and there's not actually enough chaos for it to be funny.
Yeah.
That's just first impressions, though. We'll see how it pans out.
The thing that this game reminded me of most was 100-Foot Robot Golf, which is another one of these, like, simultaneous play sort of griefing golf games. Mm-hmm. But the gimmick was, A, you're playing as, like, legally distinct Gundam and, like, kaiju, and B, the commentators, this will show you exactly when this game came out. The in-game commentary was done by the McElroy brothers.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah. It reminded me of that, but smaller, I guess, and fewer McElroy brothers.
Meanwhile, if the people at home want a golf game that's very comedy-focused, but not multiplayer or griefing-focused, might I strongly recommend What the Golf? Genuinely one of the funniest games I've played in my life. Fantastic time.
Or Dangerous Golf, or what's the frog golf game they played on Game Grumps a bunch. I mean, there's also Kirby's Dream Course, which is on NSO.
Yeah, and it's genuinely a very good time.
The game I was trying to think of was Rivet King.
Rivet King. Can't say I've heard of it, but good to know.
Ribbit.
Oh, sorry, Ribbit.
Like,
yeah.
And it was not, in fact, on the Dreamcast. It was GameCube and PlayStation 2.
All right, yeah, close. Adjacent.
Yeah. There's a lot of golf games, huh? There's something about golf that makes it... I mean, I know exactly what it is about golf. The actual sport golf, as someone who has played it, sucks and is really boring. But when you take out all the god-awful walking in terrible weather, it is actually quite fun and relaxing.
Yeah, when you take out all of the strain on your, like, hip and shoulder ligaments, it's actually much more bearable.
Yeah. All right, our next game is... Oh, yeah, and Super Battle Golf is coming out in the summer of 2026. Mm-hmm. All right, our next game is Over the Hill. It is driving around in, like, a van in Algeria. There's, like, you can build, like, little bridges. The driving seems to be physics-based, so you do have to be a little more precise with how you control your car. It's about exploration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're seemingly navigating very, like, beautiful, pristine, but also therefore very undeveloped and treacherous sort of, like, landscapes and back roads, etc., etc. If your brain works like mine, gentle viewer, the first thing you thought of once you saw those precarious ridges was a 1956 French movie called The Wages of Fear.
Holy hell.
Which is a fantastic movie. Like, it's about, like, the premise of it, I promise I'm going somewhere with this. An oil rig is on fire, which is obviously a problem, and you can't really put that out with water, because oil and water don't go great in terms of mixing. So the way you put that out is with an explosion to blow away the oxygen long enough for the fire to go out. So
Yeah.
the entire movie is about a convoy of trucks transporting nitroglycerin over precarious, treacherous mountain roads, trying to get it to the oil rig on time. And that is honestly, like, imagine a slightly more cozy form of that, and that's the vibe I got from this trailer. It's scenic, but it's also we're good, we're not good. Never didn't have it. Like, this is a real.
There's a good amount of precariousness in this game, I think.
The precariosity is off the charts. It's like, like it's a real tooth dryer of a game. It just makes you go, not comfy with how much we slipped there.
Yeah. Funnily enough, the game this reminded me the most of is actually Outbound, a game we've talked about semi-recently. Because, like, I think I posted about this on Blue Sky as well. But, like, if I had a penny for every game in 2026 about driving a large sort of van-esque car around scenic landscapes that described itself about being about the journey and not the destination, I would have 2 pennies, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. By the way, update from a previous episode. Outbound has been delayed slightly. It was originally supposed to come out on the 28th of April, and now it's coming May 14th because they found a really bad bug, and they really need to fix it before the game comes out.
As for what you said earlier with regards to Blue Sky, thank you for giving us your 2 cents. Aren't you glad you invited me?
I'm never unhappy to talk to you.
Oh,
I don't have a good segue for this. This one's also coming out in 2026. Our next game is Star Seeker Astroneer Expeditions. This is a squad-based multiplayer extraction game, I think. It has a loop of you make preparations, like you find like your kit of things you want to bring with you. Then you go to the planet that you're going to go to because there's multiple planets in the game. You explore, you gather materials, and you do missions in the world. And then you go back to the extraction point before your oxygen runs out.
Yeah. When I saw this, my first thought was like, is this No Man's Sky? Is this like a No Man's Sky DLC or a spin-off? Because the aesthetics are very No Man's Sky-y, just like with the cute factor turned up by like 6%.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing, to be clear. Like, No Man's Sky is good now, and by now, I mean, like, it has been for like the last 3 years. But yeah.
This is I wouldn't call it a sequel. There is a previous Astroneer game, but this is like a very different approach, but it's to gameplay, it's just set in the same world by the previous developer. By the same developer.
Previous Astroneer or previous Star Seeker?
Previous Astroneer game.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I know, it surprised me too.
Like, you'd think that would be the bit you stick in front of the colon, but yeah, like, it looks like these kinds of extraction games like live or die based on like how enjoyable the loop actually is, which is hard to gauge without actually like playing it hands-on. But looks like it could be fun, yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, there were a lot of co-op games announced in the showcase. I don't know, did you watch like the whole thing or just like the ones on this list?
I'm afraid I only had time for the ones on this list because look behind the curtain, gentle viewers. I got asked to be co-host about 36 hours before recording.
Yeah. That's fine. Like, these are the only ones that are relevant to talk about for the podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
But there were so many games in here that were just like, they're just co-op games. And I'm a really big fan of the fact that there are so many co-op games coming out. I do worry that maybe it's becoming a little oversaturated, but I worry about that with a lot of things. Like, I'll take this over more cutesy farming sims any day, that's for sure.
Hey, those could be co-op too.
They can, that's correct.
But yeah, like, I mean, we're in our 30s. We take ibuprofen for our back pain, so we remember the era when co-op was actually criminally neglected in favor of online competitive multiplayer. So
Yeah.
it is nice to have this sort of like a karmic counterweight years later. But yeah, there is sort of the question of like, please do try to make sure your game is like, if you have a co-op focus or just a co-op emphasis, that's good. That's fine. Go for it. Please make sure the game is still actually fun single player. Please.
Yeah.
Like,
And I hope and the most important thing is I just hope they can find their audience to be like sustainable, you know?
Yeah, like a game that's only good if it's co-op to me is a lot like comedy that's only funny when you're intoxicated. That means it's not funny, but I digress.
Our next game, speaking of cutesy farming sims, is, well, sort of. It's Solar Punk.
Yep.
This is a crafting game.
Yep.
That's about all I can really say about it. Like, it's taking the aesthetics of the solar punk subgenre.
Is it?
And
I genuinely could not tell. Like, it has floating islands and airships, but not like in a very distinctive way. It feels more like a this way we don't have to render more terrain kind of way.
yeah, like I'm not super familiar with the solar punk thing as I could be, I suppose, but it's like sort of its main tenets are like very sustainable, like buildings that are like interwoven with like natural growth, and you saw a bunch of that in here. You know, you got like your solar panels and your plants growing along the walls and stuff, and that's
If it sounds
solar punk, I guess.
Yeah. If it sounds like we're struggling to just describe any sort of meaningful, distinctive feature of this game, gentle listener, that's because the trailer did too. Like, if there is anything in this game to make it at all stand out from the entire ocean that is this genre, that did not make it into this trailer. This is, I've got to cut to the point. It looks deathly boring. It looks like the final project for a game development student that would get like an 8 out of 10 and should not be sold for money.
The one distinguishing feature that I found that was at least shown in the trailer is there doesn't seem to be any character animation. Like,
hence why it gets an 8 out of 10 and not a 9.
Yeah, you saw like there was like a little montage of someone, like a panning shot of someone like building wall segments while holding a hammer, and the wall segments like spawned in and built themselves, and the hammer in hand did not move.
Yeah, it was not so much that person building as it was it being erected.
And the funniest part was there was like a sped up montage of people like coming in and out of a certain room and like changing the room, and they were all basically T-posing.
Yeah, like it was like a room decoration montage to show off like, oh, you can customize your living space, can make it as cozy the way you want it to be. And all the actual characters were just standing and looking and not moving their arm. Like, I swear to God, I was getting Red versus Blue flashbacks.
Yeah, it's...
I don't bear these people any ill will, and no. I did look it up. This is a German game that got funding from the government of North Rhine-Westphalia, and I love that Germany does that. Like, I'm all in favor of government supporting game dev, but there's no meat on these bones. They look like very functional bones, but there's no meat.
Yeah, this game just looks really boring.
Yeah, sorry.
And if you want to find out if we're totally off base here, you can find out on June 8th of 2026.
Woo!
Then the next one is Warhammer Survivors. It's Warhammer Survivors.
Yep. If you've ever played Vampire Survivors or a game like it in any way, shape, or form, it's that, but with Warhammer 40k. Also, like, I watched this trailer. Watch being the operative word, because listening to it was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because, like, they got an orc to do the narration, and if you don't know, the orcs in 40k have really thick Cockney accents in very growly voices with a little bit of a filter over on top. So, like, I'm not kidding when I say this. I wish this trailer had subtitles. It could have used them. Because to me, it just, like, the whole thing just sounded like a morass of, like, what is if I be for the guys if I like, and it was funny, but I also feel like there was probably information there that I wish I had gleaned but failed to do.
I have two things to say here. One, again, we would like to potentially apologize to our Romanian listeners in case Seskra just said more slurs.
Oh, don't worry. That one was Bulgarian.
Okay. And the second one is, I'm going to be completely honest, as like a piece of advertising, I think just the mere existence, like similarly to
the Undertale crossover DLC?
The Undertale crossover DLC, I think anyone who is aware of the game Warhammer Survivors, it's Vampire Survivors but Warhammer, will be able to make up their minds just based on that if they want to play it or not. They don't need to watch a trailer.
Probably not, no.
I didn't write down a release date for this, but I assume it's sometime this year.
That's your homework for today. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
This will be on the test.
And then the second to last one was Brotato Primal Dread DLC. It is the Primal Dread DLC for the game Brotato, which is already out, I learned when this showcase happened. It's got dinosaurs in it.
Some of them are mecha dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It feels very Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon in terms of, like, some of its... Not tone, but just, like, primary visual cues.
Yeah.
Not so much the neon punk aesthetic of that, just the, like, the robot dinosaurs, if I'm being honest. It looked okay. Like, if you're, like, I think the whole thing is sort of fundamentally depends on, like, whether you think the Brotato joke is funny enough that you want to spend money on it.
Yeah.
I will say I had to look up a timeline on this in order to make sure which one came first. Brotato, originally 2022 game, I believe, or at least first announced in 2022. So it did come first, but I remember thinking to myself, isn't there, like, I'm watching a violent potato man with a katana doing, like, unspeakable violence. Isn't there a Japanese prefectural mascot that also does that? And yes, there is. I had to look it up, but yeah, Jinenger, the unofficial, because the city thinks he's a little too violent to do it for real, the unofficial mascot of the city of Shiroi, is in fact a mountain yam who is perpetually screaming and wielding wooden katanas. So, get on that. That's the crossover I really want to see. Make it happen.
I was not expecting that's where that was going to go.
I'm sorry. Would you rather I take it into 1950s French cinema again?
But given what I know about prefectural mascots, I also shouldn't have been surprised.
I have an approximate knowledge of many prefectural mascots.
Like, I was thinking, like, Broforce, the game from, like, 2014 or whatever. But no. Damn, yeah.
Yeah.
And this one's coming out sometime in 2026. And then the last one that was coming out on Switch is Graveyard Keeper 2. I didn't know there was a Graveyard Keeper 1.
I remember very vaguely hearing about it at the time, but I didn't really pay much heed. Looking at it, this one here, it's sort of like a survival management sim situation, but it very much passes the test that Solarpunk didn't, where it very clearly does have its own identity going on.
Yeah.
It's not just survive zombie attacks and build up a base defense to survive the zombie attacks. It's also like, hey, please make sure corpses are buried correctly so they don't actually become zombies. And it sort of feels like the grave-keeping part of it is filling the slot that farming would in most of these kinds of games. But there's also clearly like almost a factory aspect to it, because if you look in the trailer, there's a moment where, like, there's a treadmill being run by having, like, zombies on a little, like, zombies are chained up and, like, sort of dragging a wheel because they're chasing after a bit of flesh that's just out of range. Like, the zombies are being put to work, essentially, and I thought it was very clever. The aesthetic of this whole thing, it's pixel art, and, like, it is a lot of zombies, so there is some doom and gloom, but it doesn't actually go too bad. It's like, if you're imagining something like Darkest Dungeon or something, you can turn that dial back quite a bit. It's, like the daytime stuff is actually kind of, like, pleasant and cozy-ish, which I feel like is them sort of trying to fit in with the expectations of this, the market for the genre. But the night bits are suitably sort of, like, still gothy. So, like, I might actually pick this one up. We'll kind of have to see how it goes. But, like, I'm not usually huge into management sims, but this one caught my eyes at least being nicely distinctive.
There is, based on, like, the past couple of showcase things we've covered, there is a slowly emerging micro-genre of management sims, but they're a little freaky about it. And I guess Graveyard Keeper, you could argue, was maybe the first one of those, considering it came out a while back.
Although, people didn't really hear about it very much or notice it at the time. So, if I had to point to, like, not the first one, but, like, the first one to really blow up and, like, get a lot of attention, probably, like, Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah, that would be a good one. The one that isn't out yet that I'm most excited for is Neverway. Mm-hmm. That one, it's got pixel art by, like, the artist who did Celeste, and it's got music by Disaster Piece, I believe. Ooh. Like, they assembled, like, an all-star team for it, and it looks gorgeous, and it seems really cool. It's got a very distinct... It's got a color palette that reminds me of... oh, my God. What's the game you like so much that you covered?
The Shrouded Isle.
The Shrouded Isle, thank you. It's got a color palette that reminds me a lot of that. That's also a management sim that gets kind of freaky with it.
Yep. There's your, like, recommendation for an indie game that's actually been out for a couple of years. The Shrouded Isle. Go play it. It's very good.
And even in this showcase, there was another one that we didn't cover because it's not coming out on Switch, but it was like you're running like a supermarket, and you have to identify changelings, or not changelings, shapeshifters. And if you fail to identify any of them, then at night it becomes like Home Alone, but gory. Like, you have to set up traps, and there's combat, and you fight these monsters and stuff. Like, it's cool that this is becoming more of a thing, because I've said my piece on cozy games. I have complained about them multiple times. I like that we're finally getting to the era where they're getting weird with it. And I like it when genres get weird with it. All right, that's going to do it for the III Initiative Showcase.
Yeah, can't wait for them to get to the other vowels.
In general, though, like, as sort of a closing thought on it, is it was structured more or less like a Nintendo Direct minus the hosts, essentially. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I do like that initiatives like this do exist for not just the biggest studios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, like, there's also things like Realms Deep, I think it's called. That's specifically for, like, shooters and boomer shooters and things like that, which I think is mostly, like, organized by Apogee. I like that we sort of have these, like, indie threes now.
Yeah.
That's such a better name than III Showcase. I should trademark that. I want a quarter every time somebody says it.
Or Day of the Devs is, I think, another one for indie devs that's organized by Double Fine. Ooh. Yeah, it's nice to see more and more of these, because I don't know if you've looked at the numbers recently, but we're getting more video games now than, like, ever before. And so
Which is weird
having
because
some
like
amount of,
we're also firing more people than ever before.
Yep. And so having some amount of curation, and yes, we joked about it earlier, but this is literally just advertising. But like my Steam wishlist, I added like 8 games to my Steam wishlist based on this showcase. Like, there's some good looking stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
Our next news story is some more behind the scenes pictures from the Legend of Zelda movie. It recently wrapped filming, and some people in the crew posted some pictures that they then took down again, but the internet never forgets. So we got a behind the scenes crew picture taken from what looks like to be the set for the Temple of Time, based on some details that were visible in the background, and a clapper with Link in a more traditional Twilight Princess-esque look, but he does have a cape, which looks really cool. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what a clapper is, if you know the classic, like, all right, lights, camera, action, and then somebody claps shut the thing with the black and white stripes, that's a clapper.
Yeah.
They still use them.
I don't remember exactly what it's like. April of next year is, I think, the release date for this movie. And we've talked about this before, but it's produced by like Ari Aster, whose production record is mixed, shall we say.
Ari Aster. Do you mean Avi Arad? Because he's the one producing.
Then I do mean Avi Arad, yes.
Let's take a look here at his filmography real quick. We're live, everybody. Okay, I'm seeing some stuff that's good, and some stuff that's really not. Like, I could say something like, he was producer on Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. And you go, ooh. And then I tell you, he was also the producer on The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
And the 2003 Daredevil movie.
And Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. There's a lot of superhero stuff in here. He did do Ghost Rider. You do love yourself some Ghost Rider.
Wait, did you do Ghost Rider 1 or 2?
1.
That's the bad one.
I
like Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Allow me to translate for the audience. That's the less fun one. I'm uncomfortable calling Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance a good movie. But yeah, he mostly seems to do superhero stuff. It's rare that he really branches out beyond that. He does it every once in a blue moon. That if you remember the live-action Ghost in the Shell movie, actually, yeah.
It's not the live-action one, right?
No, it is the live-action one. The 2017, yeah, it is the first live-action movie based on the Japanese Ghost in the Shell franchise.
Oofa
yeah,
doofa. That's also not a particularly enjoyed one.
Yeah. Although keep him, and of course, I would say the nadir of his career is either Morbius or Borderlands. Yes, he did both of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, he's a producer, not a director, so he's, got a fairly modest influence, and it sort of depends on, like, the other people who are also producing, which, for what that's worth, that's Joe Hartwick Jr., who I don't know much about, Wes Ball, who is also directing, and Shigeru Miyamoto.
Wes Ball. I think we've also talked about Wes Ball on the show. His filmography is also quite mixed. Because, like, yeah, the Maze Runner movies.
Yeah, he did 3 Maze Runner movies and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Which is not one of the really good ones, but I think that movie's still supposed to be pretty good.
Does it have Andy Serkis? It does not. So, yeah. I haven't seen it, but, And finally, yeah, he's doing Zelda. He was a producer on a found footage horror movie. He was a graphics artist on a reality TV show called Pirate Master. This is a different This is turning into a different podcast. I need to stop. This is like
yeah.
But yeah. People saw the picture of the set and were like, "Is that the Temple of Time?" And people have done some side-by-side comparisons. It sure looks like the Temple of Time as depicted in Ocarina of Time. Yeah, like obviously that's not the only game that has it in it. Like off the top of my head, Temple of Time is also in Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, and probably a bunch of others that I'm also forgetting. As for the clapper with Link is sort of the Twilight Princess-esque outfit, that's also like spot on. Like Link has a very distinctive look in that game because it's, I think, that was the one where they first had him with chainmail underneath his green tunic. Like it's subtle, but if you look for it, that's in all of the official art. He normally didn't have a cape in that game, but Zelda did have a cape for like the first two or like one or two times you meet her, because it's like, oh, it's a mysterious hooded figure who knows a lot about what's going on, but you don't know who she is. And then spoilers, it's Zelda.
Yeah.
Whether or not that plays into any of all of this, we'll see. Like, do I want to see Midna on screen? Yes. Do I think she's in this movie? Probably not. You know, got to save something for the sequel.
It at least shows that they're doing their homework, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, I think we're now sort of past the era of video game adaptations that are embarrassed to be video game adaptation movies, right? Like, as much as I love the 90s Bob Hoskins Super Mario Brothers movie as like a piece of schlock art, like the actual Mario Brothers stuff is not very faithful.
That was the movie where the tagline used on the posters and the trailers was, "This ain't no game, it's a live action thrill ride." And I'm like, but we like game. Why are you embarrassed to be game? Why are you rejecting game?
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily automatically mean the movie's going to be good. An example that both of us like to bring up a lot is Paul W.S. Anderson's Monster Hunter movie. All of the Monster Hunter stuff in that movie was very accurate. The monsters move, look, and sound like they should.
The second act of that movie is unironically like 40 minutes of very, very good Monster Hunter translated to the big screen. It's just sandwiched in the middle of a terrible movie that has nothing to do with Monster Hunter and is awful.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see if this movie's good. We have to wait another, like, a little over a year. It's May of 2027, by the way. I saw it on Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. Our next story, this one was very interesting. A very rare pre-Mike Tyson prototype of Punch-Out from 1987 got sold at a Heritage auction for $45,000 US, which is a lot of money. The person who purchased the game dumped the ROM on the cutting room floor wiki, which is a wiki that details like cut content. So now there's a digital version of this prototype that you can download and play on an emulator and see what all the differences are between it and the final product, and who they had as Mr. Dream, I believe, is what the character was named before Mike Tyson. Like, you can go read the wiki page yourself, but not all of the characters are in it yet. Not all of the characters actually work. Like, the final fight against Mr. Dream does exist, but he doesn't actually do anything. And when you beat him, the game just, like, stops, basically. Like, Little Mac moves back, and that's it. Because, you know, it's a prototype. It's not finished yet.
Yeah, like, whether or not Mr. Dream is in the final product sort of depends on, like, which version of the game you ended up getting. Like, it was called Mike Tyson's Punch-Out in a bunch of places, but for re-releases, sometimes they would take Mike Tyson's name off of it because of controversy surrounding him. And whenever they did that, they would change the name back to Mr. Dream.
Yeah. It's just a very cool piece of video game history that is now available to the public for the low cost of $45,000 US.
Yeah. I wonder if the Piston Honda trick is in there. Because, like, I don't know a whole lot about the original Punch-Out, but I do know the dev has admitted in the fight against Piston Honda, he couldn't figure out his own timing and, like, was really struggling, which was a problem because he wasn't meant to be the final boss. There's supposed to be stuff after it, so it has to be beatable. So he put a camera flash from a photographer in the audience in the background as a little cheat so you could see when to block. I wonder if that's already in this prototype.
I believe, if I'm not misremembering, because I did read up on this a couple days ago, so it's possible that I am. I believe Piston Honda is one of the characters who is like there but non-functional.
Gotcha, yeah.
But I could be wrong. Read the wiki page for yourself. It's pretty long and very detailed, which I appreciated a lot. Thank you for mysterious $45,000 having person.
Yeah, this is exactly what we should be doing with like rare gaming history artifacts. Like, get them and immediately, permanently, publicly preserve them.
Yeah, we don't need them PSA graded to be in someone's collection to gather dust. Just make them available.
Yes, please.
And our last news story, this showed up very recently. A new trailer for Splatoon Raiders. This game was first announced on Nintendo today in October of 2025. But this trailer showed off some more gameplay. It showed off some more of the crafting elements, some of the different weapons, some of the exploration gadgets. And it also announced a release date of July 23rd, along with 3 amiibo, new ones, for Shiver, Big Man, and Fry. And while it does advertise, good catch, I missed this, shout out to Seskra, the game advertises itself as single-player focused. It will also have a co-op mode for up to 3 players, either locally or online.
Yeah, which I figure is probably a good call, because, like, I like the idea of them branching out into single-player stuff, because Splatoon is a very fun IP. Like,
yeah,
it like every like console generation ish. It's been slowing down as of late, but like every console generation ish, Nintendo likes to try and prop up one new IP.
Yeah,
and I think Splatoon really succeeded, but I think it would be better if it sort of broke free from the established, I don't want to say shackles, but like limitations of being a multiplayer only franchise. So I think it is very cool. But at the same time, your existing fan base, which is presumably most of your target audience, is used to playing it multiplayer. They will probably like the idea of being able to do that. So good of them to include this. And
yeah,
like the actual gameplay of it looked sort of, it's a gradually unlocking open world action adventure exploration where you get goodies and like you upgrade weapons and get new gear and unlock as you go, sort of like halfway between action adventure, Metroidvania. Like,
I actually had a really hard time like writing down how I'm going to describe this game because I knew exactly what it was, but I didn't know how to put it into words.
Yeah.
It's like Immortals Phoenix Rising, or just these sort of like broad open world. There's a bit of crafting. There's a bit of RPG elements with like increasing damage numbers and stuff. There's a bit of this. There's a bit of that. I think it's just broadly open world action adventure, which is so broad that it's basically meaningless.
Kind of, yeah. Like, watch the trailer, you'll know what we mean. It does look pretty fun. Oh, dang it. I had a really good pun figured out for this bit, and now I can't remember it anymore. No, my joke is ruined. But it looks like they're trying their best to, like, preserve a good bit of the Splatoon, like, signifiers and aesthetics and, like, the things that people like and cherish about the franchise, whilst also letting it sort of shine in this new format.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't think they can ever translate, this was just a quirk of timing and the inscrutable workings of the universe. But I very strongly associate Splatoon with the death of Queen Elizabeth because the third game released the same week she died, and so all of the graffiti tags people were making were just about that, and I can never unthink that.
I forgot about that.
It was a glorious, magical time in gaming that will never be recaptured.
Oh, God, that's so good. I'm going to send this clip to Risley as well. She'll be really happy to hear it. Holy crap. Yeah, I don't know if I'll end up buying this game, to be honest. Like, on the one hand, I have no real affinity for the Splatoon IP because I've never played any of the other ones. But this would be a good opportunity for me to maybe get into it. But the sort of problem that I'm running into is because it has a release date of July 23rd, it's coming out around the same time as Digimon Story Time Stranger does on Switch 2. And so I just don't know if I'll have time to play it for a while, which is the same problem I have with Pokopia.
You won't have Time Stranger.
But yeah, it looks cool. It's nice to see them branching out into more single-player related stuff, like you said. Yeah.
And also, I think they sort of picked the right IP for this genre of game, as it were. Like,
yeah.
I would have a hard time seeing something like Metroid or Star Fox attempt this. Like, I remember when Star Fox tried to be Zelda. Boy, was that a mistake. Come at me in the comments. But I think for Splatoon, it totally works, and they're very much able to, like, branch out as they go. So, yeah like, color me cautiously optimistic.
Or paint me colorly cautiously optimistic.
There we go. This is why we paid the big bucks.
All right, now we're going to go to the part of the show where we talk about what we've been playing.
Woo!
I, as some of you may have heard on the last episode, have been playing Turok Dinosaur Hunter, the Night Dive remaster for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. It was on sale, and I bought like the 3-pack of all 3 of them for like $10 total. And Turok is a game that I have a lot of nostalgia for. I never owned it on N64 proper, but I played it on an emulator. I never actually finished it, but now I have, and I'm going to talk to you about it. This is one of my favorite like types of experiences. It is a very schlocky, very campy sort of action movie, but it's a video game. Also think of like Dark Void in that space.
Yes.
God, I love Dark Void.
Shout out to the 5 people who remember Dark Void. You're valid, and we see you.
I wish the PC version worked properly. So yeah, Turok, you're playing as a racist stereotype of a Native American, fighting racist stereotypes of Mesoamerican tribes, I would say.
Yeah. If I had to pick an ethnicity being stereotyped, I would say Mesoamerican, yeah.
Yeah. And also dinosaurs, and also later aliens. And I like that it's slowly sort of, and just like RB guys, basically, maybe mercenaries probably. The plot is not super important in this game. I like that it sort of ramps up the weirdness a little bit. Like, you're starting out, you have a bow, and then pretty soon you just get a pistol. And you're using it to fight normal dudes with guns, the aforementioned racist stereotype tribes people, the occasional dinosaur. And then you start unlocking, like, an automatic shotgun, you say. Okay, grenade launcher, still kind of normal. This is an electric weapon that stuns people and then they explode. Ooh, this rocket launcher is really cool because why would you put a rocket launcher in your game that fires 1 rocket when you can put a rocket launcher in your game that fires 4 at the same time?
This arsenal brought to you by Armed and Dangerous, for the people who remember that game.
Or Earth Defense Force.
Yep.
Yeah, and as the game progresses and you get weirder weapons, you also get weirder enemies. So you get these like weird bug aliens, and the dinosaurs have guns now, and they're cybernetically enhanced. And the environments get weirder. You start off with just sort of jungle and like temples, and then by the end of the game, you're at a big alien base that has like turrets and teleporters and like hover platforms and stuff. I love the way it develops. It's a lot of fun. It is at its best when you're running through cool levels and you're blasting dinosaurs with your goofy sci-fi weaponry. But it's at its worst when you're replaying those now mostly empty levels for the fourth goddamn time because you're missing a key and you can't find it and you don't know where else to look, but you have to find it because you can't unlock the last level until you do.
Yeah, but you can finish the preceding level without having found that key.
Yes. And when I say mostly empty, it's because most of the enemies after you finish a level just don't respawn, which does make your subsequent runs through easier, but it also makes them boring.
Mm-hmm. And also, there are some parts that don't get easier because they're just not great. Like, first-person platforming can be done well, and had in fact already been done well, but back in 1997 when these games originally came out.
Yeah.
But wow, is Turok not a good example of it?
Honestly, it's not great, but I've definitely played way worse.
Yeah, it could be worse, admittedly, yeah.
Maybe it's because the first time I played this game, I played it on an emulator on my keyboard, but getting to play it with a real controller was a nice change of pace, where it felt a lot better. But yeah, this is not a very complicated game, but it's a game that I think about a lot because I love this sort of like pulpy, schlocky adventure story kind of thing that gets, again, as previously said on this episode, I like it when it gets a bit weird with it. And this game definitely does. Mm-hmm. As the franchise progresses, the weapons just get more and more weird. Like, I think in Turok 3, there's a weapon that launches, like, an orb that flies through the air and attaches itself to enemies and, like, blenders their head, basically. Like, that's just a weapon.
I love it. Like, I think we started weird because this is 1997 and every first-person shooter is responding to Duke Nukem 3D and it's like, oh, we gotta have silly, wacky weapons. Yeah. But if that's your starting premise and then you make 2 more sequels, then by the end, yeah, it's gonna get very silly.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's just a franchise to think about a lot. And so I wanted to play the first one, and now I have. And I've actually finished it. I beat the final boss last night. It is very funny that, like, maybe the story is explained more in the manual because...
As was the style at the time.
Yeah, games had those back then. But it is very funny that, like, there's, like, 3 bosses, maybe 4 in this game. And it's just sort of like, well, you're in this big arena.
Yep.
Enjoy this large mantis robot.
Mm-hmm. Or, like, a Humvee with a rocket launcher.
Yeah. And then there's just, you beat the boss, and there's a cutscene where Turok, like, strikes a martial arts pose to celebrate a little bit. That's it.
Yeah.
Moving on. And in a game like this, you don't really need a lot of context, but I would have liked maybe a bit more.
That's fair, yeah. Like,
just, like, give me, like, 10% more context.
Yeah. I will say, if you like the idea of a sort of schlocky sci-fi first-person shooter, which does give context and also has a Native American protagonist, but distinctly less racist caricature, actually voiced by a Native American and with good effort made to be respectful in the representation, maybe check out Prey, not the 2017 Prey that you're probably thinking of. No, the 2006 one by Human Head Studios. Like, it's a good game, highly recommend, and it's rare example of like strong efforts towards positive representation of Native Americans in gaming.
Is this on? Oh, it is on PC. Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
I think I might.
Excellent.
And you have been playing some Resident Evil 0. How's that been going for you?
Yeah, like, I saw all of the, like, enthusiasm and good vibes and, like, complimentary language going around about Resident Evil Requiem, and I'm here to bring the mood down by taking everybody back to the worst era in the franchise's history. Yes, it's worse than Resident Evil 6. Strap in, people. So, if you are part of the Game Podular Discord, which, again, link is on our website, gamepodular.com, you will know that at the end of every year, I like doing a little awards list for myself. Just like, what was my favorite game? What had, the smoothest animation? What had my favorite music? Which game had the best fish? Very reasonable, ordinary awards like that. And last year, I had an award called Worst in Daikatana. Because I played Daikatana last year, and it wasn't the worst game I played. So I figured, let's call Worst of the Year Worst in Daikatana. The winner of that was Resident Evil Revelations, which I really didn't like. It was sluggish. It was trying and failing to nail Resident Evil's actually fairly tight game design. And this is worse than Revelations, so it is significantly worse than Daikatana. Yes, I said it, come at me. Okay. A couple points on that. Number one, what's with the name? Resident Evil 0. Is this a prequel? Yes, it is. It takes place a day before Resident Evil 1. About 400 meters away. I am not kidding. The end cutscene has them looking at the mansion from the first game.
So it's closer to Resident Evil 0.9?
Pretty much. And our protagonists are Rebecca Chambers, who is a supporting NPC in Resident Evil 1, and Billy, who is never seen again or heard of or acknowledged after this game. Their voice actors are memorably bad, even by Resident Evil standards.
Because the first Resident Evil has some, sort of legendarily awful voice acting.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it gets as bad as the original Resident Evil 1. But Rebecca's voice actress in particular is she's like a room tone elemental. If Taupe had a sound, she would be it.
Room tone elemental. Oh my god. I'm okay.
Every single sentence, she sounds bewildered at the thing she is saying, and also like she has never spoken to any human being before in her life.
I've had days like that.
It's glorious and it's amazing. Now, I mentioned two protagonists because Resident Evil does have a history of having more than one protagonist. Sometimes it's one campaign where you switch back and forth between them. Sometimes it's two campaigns with one protagonist each. This time, they sort of presaged what was to come with Resident Evil 5 and 6 by having two protagonists in the same place at the same time. And you can switch between them. It's also bad, because one of them is... And the game doesn't hide this. It tells you explicitly. One of them is just numerically, quantifiably better than the other. Billy takes less damage and does more damage. So you are almost always incentivized to just play as Billy. The only thing Rebecca has going for her is Billy can't mix medicinal herbs, because we are still doing that. It is Resident Evil. So Rebecca has to do that. Which brings me to the inventory system. The worst inventory system in the entire history of the franchise.
That is saying a lot.
Yes,
I'm no fan of the grid-based inventory system in games just at all. Having to Tetris your inventory, basically. So what the hell did they do for this one that made it even worse?
Well, for starters, calling it a grid is generous because they have 6 slots each.
Uh-huh.
And there are multiple items and weapons that actually consume 2 slots.
Gross.
So if you want, say, a pistol, ammo for the pistol, and a crucial key item that takes up 2 slots, that's 2/3 of your inventory gone. So if you find anything along the way, you can pick up one, you can maybe pick up another, and then good luck to you. But okay, you've got two of them. You've got two characters with you. That's two inventories. So it's 12 in total. Is that so bad? Yeah, kind of, because they actually get split up a fair bit. Sometimes by design, like the game lets you switch back and forth between them in real time. But
if one character's carrying all your healing items and then they split up and you're playing the character without the healing items.
Funny you mentioned that. The let's split up these characters so you can't play as one of the thing also happens for certain boss fights.
Oh, no.
And if you loaded up your good ammo and healing items on the wrong character, too bad. Reload, switch it around, try again. You've, that setup you had, literally unwinnable, and you could not know that before it happened.
And now, for clarification's sake, you are playing the HD remaster, right?
Yes, this game originally came out in 2002 on the GameCube during a very dark time for Resident Evil. I'll get to that in a sec. Then in 2016, they did an HD remake of both Resident Evil 1, and while they were at it, they also did Resident Evil 0. I assume because there was also a Resident Evil remake, like a Resident Evil 1 remake on the GameCube. It wasn't HD at the time, obviously, but they were like, wow, the original's graphics haven't aged very well. Let's remake this, change around a few puzzles here and there, tweak some things. And that version going forward, the GameCube remaster, is like that's the foundation of every version of Resident Evil you will play nowadays.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now we have the 2016 HD remaster, which came to Switch in 2019, I believe.
And they did not make this any less annoying in the HD remaster.
I haven't even gotten to the worst part.
Oh, no.
Because this game came out on the GameCube, but it started life in development for the N64.
Oh, God.
Because, yeah, Capcom had a lot of Resident Evil games in development simultaneously for, like, the entire late 90s and into the early 2000s. Just sort of like a swirling morass where whenever one project sort of had a breakthrough, they would, like, put a lot of effort into that to make that the next release while the other sort of simmered, and then it would go back to sort of competing against each other.
Yeah.
So Resident Evil 0 technically has been, like, it had been in the works since Resident Evil 1. Like, before Resident Evil 2 even came out, they were like, could we do a prequel to 1? And they thought they were going to make it on the N64. And if you know the N64 from a hardware perspective, you know that the N64 had pretty dire memory limitations. It did not have a lot of system memory. That's why they had to make, like, the memory expansion module for Majora's Mask and Donkey Kong 64. It kind of crippled certain games, like Banjo-Tooie had to make a lot of changes to accommodate the placement of all of the things you had to collect in the collectathon in order to actually fit the system memory. And in this case, Capcom ran into another problem, because Resident Evil 1 had been PlayStation.
Yep.
Resident Evil 0 on the N64, and they found a key design element of Resident Evil 1 wasn't compatible with the memory limitations. The item box.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that convenient item box that you store your stuff in, and then you go to a later on in the game, you hit a save room where there's a save point, and there's an item box where you can get your stuff again. And how did it get between the boxes? Don't worry about it. It's a convenience for your sake. Be grateful. Be grateful, you ingrate, because I had to play this entire game without it because the system memory limitations couldn't handle it. And they didn't re-implement it when they transferred over to the GameCube or in the 2016 remaster.
Why?
I don't know, but it means if you need to leave an item behind, you know what you do? You leave it on the ground. Just flop it on the floor. Good luck to you.
And write down where you left it, I assume?
The game does mark on the map items you have dropped.
Does it tell you which ones they are?
Yes.
Or do you have,
yes.
Is it just, okay.
However,
There's always a however.
only items that you have specifically dropped. If there's an item you can't pick up because, say, your inventory is full because you only have 6 slots, you need to remember to drop something to make room to put it in your inventory and then drop it again, because otherwise it will not mark it on the map where it is. Oh, you found the shotgun, but you can't take it with you right now? Too bad. If you don't pick it up at least once, the game isn't going to remind you.
So there's a joke that I think it was Nelson Salahub of Loading Ready Run who I heard this from, and I've told it before on the last Iconoclast stream, I believe, that all games are either parkour or menus, and this is a very bad example of a menus game.
Yes, immensely so. Did I mention, by the way, that you can only transfer items between the two protagonist characters when they are close together?
That I kind of see as like
it's a diegetic thing. I don't hate it that much. Yeah. Like, fair enough.
Of all the things you've said, that is the least egregious.
Yeah, like it's the least egregious, and if the other problems weren't there, I probably wouldn't even bring it up at all, because it would, like, in a vacuum, it's totally excusable. But as part of this morass of inventory problems, we just had to throw that on top of everything else. And unfortunately, all of this is paired with some of the most convoluted, like, side quests in order to get key items in Resident Evil history. We are getting into Bigoron Sword territory.
Good God.
By way of an example, and I'm gonna, like, this is not a spoiler for anything that happens, I'm just describing the items you need and how to get them. Late in the game, I need a key card to get through a door. Can't beat the game without getting the key card to go through the door. Where's the key card, you ask? It's up by a walkway near these rocks. Can you get to them? Well, you can't, but there's a forklift nearby, and if you can get the forklift to raise up if you stand on the crate that's on the forklift, and then your other character raises the forklift, you can get it.
I'm with you so far.
But the forklift is missing its battery.
Okay.
So you need to find a battery. And then you find the battery, and the battery is empty.
So you need to charge the battery?
No. It's empty of battery acid.
Oh, no.
So then you need to find 3 different chemicals.
Oh, you have to make your own battery acid?
Yes.
This game sucks.
3 different chemicals, which only Rebecca can mix because she has the chemical mixing set.
Yeah.
So you can fill up the battery with acid so you can put it in the forklift to get this key card, and nobody ever asks why Billy didn't just give her a boost on his shoulders, which is a thing he does multiple times in the game, so it's not like they could just say it never occurred to them.
This game sucks.
I haven't even started talking about the plot yet.
Oh, right. There's plot in Resident Evil games.
And this one's terrible. Okay, if what I've said hasn't deterred you, and you actually care about spoilers, maybe bow out now. Inflict this on yourself, and then come back.
Yeah.
But, okay. The gist is this, because it's a prequel. In fact, I think it's the only prequel they've ever done in Resident Evil history. Smart move, honestly. Benefit of hindsight. They know they can't really mess up the status quo. Well, okay, they can because there are retcons in here, but they know this would have to work backwards in the timeline. So this game says, so you know Umbrella Corporation? Yeah, that wasn't actually founded by Oswald Spencer. It was founded by this entirely different dude called Dr. Marcus, who has Spencer as, like, his assistant and understudy. But then Dr. Marcus got killed by Wesker, who has been with Umbrella the entire time, which is awkward now because canonically that means he was working at Umbrella in 1973, but I digress. Yeah, he was killed by Wesker and disposed of, but the progenitor virus that Dr. Marcus had been working on infected leeches in the like garbage disposal system where they threw his body, and the leech reanimated his body, so now he's back as an undead intelligent leech wizard zombie who looks like an anime video game Bishi circa 2002 who wears white robes. Like, I'm not even kidding. He looks 40 years younger than he used to. Like, and this is never addressed or explained at all.
Undead Leech Wizard is my King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, like, foil band.
Yes.
Like,
excellent.
I'm starting them to be the main rivals.
Excellent. We're starting beef so we can have a battle of the bands. On a definitely unrelated note, I assure you, did you know that sometimes in Hollywood you have to cast different people for a character's speaking voice and their singing voice?
Yes.
I bring this up because Hollywood does this. Capcom did not. Well, okay, they did, and they did it poorly. Because the way Dr. Marcus controls the leeches is by singing an aria at them.
That's actually kind of dope. I like that.
It sounds cool on paper. The problem is, Dr. Marcus sounds like an underpaid adult voice actor. The singing is clearly done by a genuinely very talented 12-year-old choir boy. Like, you know that song in, like, Lord of the Rings when they run out of Moria and they think Gandalf is dead and it's, like, really tragic, and then Zack Snyder later used it for the trailer of Man of Steel? That's the voice being used for the leech singing, and it's from the same guy who 2 seconds earlier would say, "Revenge on Umbrella." Like, he sounds like Bandit Keith and then hard cut into children's choir.
That's so good.
Oh God, I'm selling you on this game.
I think the game would be worse if the voice acting was better.
You know what? You might actually be right. So yeah, it's entirely a revenge story by Dr. Marcus against Umbrella that just happens to involve Rebecca and Billy. Rebecca literally she is being sent to the mansion from the first game on the STARS mission from the first game, and just crash lands early and gets swept up in all of this in her helicopter. And then Billy is foreshadowing for Resident Evil 5?
Okay.
In a game that came out before Resident Evil 4, because I guess the whole let's develop multiple games simultaneously thing hadn't stopped yet. Billy is a convicted criminal, convicted by a military court specifically to death for refusing to participate in a racist war crime when his unit was deployed to Africa, in a little bit of foreshadowing for the African setting of Resident Evil 5. Like, he got sent to the same region that you end up in Resident Evil 5, Kajuju, I think they call it, and was ordered to, he was ordered to massacre a village because they knew too much, and refused, and got court-martialed and sentenced to death, and now he's escaped, and he's here somehow. None of this will ever matter because, again, nobody acknowledges this character ever again. He is, like... I can picture his face on a milk carton. Him and his stupid Game Boy SP Tribal Edition tattoo running up his shoulder.
I did look him up on the wiki. It's like, what's the protagonist of God Hand doing in my Resident Evil game?
Yep. And, as a character, he's nothing, and nothing is fine, because at least nothing is not bad.
Yeah.
Like, I can look past a lot of that. The tragedy of it is this game had exactly one good idea for a location, and it's the first one. So you get your hopes up is the problem. Like, this game is structured like a Sonic game where the opening is 14 times better than the ending. Like, because the opening setting is a like Murder on the Orient Express style luxury double-decker train.
Nice.
Which is a really cool twist on the, like, Resident Evil mansion setting. Like, you can do the glitz and the glamour and the opulent expense and then the weird back rooms where there's more industrial stuff going on. All of that totally works on this kind of train in a way that does still feel nicely different from the mansion. And it also lets you have a tighter, like slightly more guided focus for the early game while you're still tutorializing a little bit. It's a good idea, and I like what they do with it. And then the next area is just a mansion. Because we're still doing that, even though we had mansion but better. Now you might be asking yourself, wait, there isn't an item box. So does the train just stop? No, the train crashes. Like, there's a point of no return where you can never go back to the train. Does that mean you lose all your items? No. They thought of that. By just disgorging every item you found on the train on the floor in front of the wreckage.
I mean, I'll take that over losing the items permanently.
And you can tell they knew this wasn't a great idea, because there is a shortcut from the end of the game back to that train wreckage, just in case you forgot something.
Okay.
Because they knew if they didn't, it would be like 45 minutes of walking. And on the one hand, thank you for the concession, lads. On the other hand, you're telling me you could implement that, but you couldn't implement the item box when you switched back to the GameCube? Like, oh. Yeah. Is there anything distinct, really, about this game? Is there anything that it does that stands out at all? I can think of two things.
Well, there's an undead leech wizard.
Which is not the only undead wizard they've done, but it is the only time they've done leeches, to the best of my knowledge. Number one, we're doing zombie animals, which Resident Evil usually has like a little tiny bit of that. Like, there's, zombie sharks here and there.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I can remember zombie shark. And isn't there like a messed up, like, sort of mutated alligator? I guess not zombie, but...
Yeah, Resident Evil 2 famously has a fantastic, like, sewer gator turned monster. That's all great. Here it's cockroaches.
Oh.
And they're not zombies. They're just big cockroaches.
They're rad roaches.
That would imply that I could get good loot from them, which, nah. But some of the boss fights are also just kind of big animals. Like, there's a giant centipede called the Centurion. Get it?
Yeah, there's some, like, centipede-looking things in Turok as well.
Yeah. There's a giant bat who, I kid you not, he goes down in 2 hits from the grenade launcher. You just, can you hit him? Oh, speaking of can you hit him, did I mention this still uses old-school Resident Evil tank controls?
Ooh.
Even in the 2016 re-release?
Ooh. I mean, I have, like, a small amount of fondness for tank controls, as long as you design your combat system to really work well with them. Because, like, the Resident Evil-esque game that I've played is Crow Country. Mm-hmm. And that has tank controls. But the fights and the boss fights are definitely built around the fact that it doesn't control like a normal third-person shooter,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this... having played Resident Evil 1 relatively recently, I can safely say that Resident Evil 0 does not do a very good job of it. Like, Resident Evil 1 knew how to have a system that worked well, or knew how to have camera angles that enabled that system well while still having tension. Resident Evil 2 largely fails at this. It's not unworkable, it's not awful or anything, but there's not a lot of responsive feedback, like, at all. Your AI partner, even when you set them to be aggressive, is mostly useless.
Great.
I found repeatedly that there were mini bosses where the correct approach is just walk past them, because they'll be seemingly ordinary looking zombies, and then they go through a little transformation sequence where they're like, I'm transforming now, and I'm already literally out the other door by the time, like, before they can finish. And because they haven't finished, I can come back and do the same thing again because the animation resets. So it's a Resident Evil game where the correct approach is very often don't bother, just run past, which...
I mean, that's a common strategy in some of the earlier ones, right? Like,
it's
but that's
usually
more
common
along the lines
strategy.
of, like, resource saving.
Exactly, yeah. Like, that's usually sort of a calculated decision of, like, I can get through this room, like, either spending little ammo, maybe spending some healing items, or spending ammo and not spending healing items. In this case, it's just, if I fight, it's gonna cost a significant amount of both. There is actually a secret third option nobody tells me about where I just do neither.
Yeah.
So,
Not my problem. See you later. If it sucks, hit the bricks.
So yeah, we have a little bit of a weird undercooked barnyard theme where we're doing a lot of animal stuff now. That part, I'm not thrilled. Gotta be honest. Like, it's not terrible, but it's very lame. It's very lazy. We didn't feel like designing actual monsters.
Because like there is a version of like messed up wildlife that is cool and interesting, right? But it
this
sounds
is
like
not it.
Yeah, like
This is literally just zombie monkey. Okay, how does it act? Well, it's a
Monkey?
zombie, but you need to make sure you're aiming down, because if you aim at the normal hip height, it just goes over their heads. This is the design document for the zombie monkey. The other thing, the one good thing I can say, other than like the train was a good idea, it's a pretty game. It looked pretty in 2002 on the GameCube, and this 2016 remake looked genuinely very pretty for 2016. Like, the upside of the Resident Evil, like, fixed camera angle art style was they could pre-render all of the environments as a 2D background, essentially. So those could be tippity-top, cream of the crop, and then it could save all of the real-time rendering power for the 3D models.
yeah.
And that looked really good in its day. And this is the nicest that particular aesthetic has ever looked, because it's the HD remake of the last game to really ever do that in the series. And they do put a lot of effort into it. There was a shot near the end of the train sequence where you can see the front carriage of it, like the locomotive pulling everything. And it's in the middle of a rainstorm. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, like the rain particles, which are pre-rendered, but still, like, the rain particles in the high beams of the locomotive in the dead of night going through this looks really good, actually.
Nice.
So it's a pretty game. It's a terrible game, but it is pretty, and you have something nice to look at while it pulls terrible shenanigans. And look, I try not to complain about cheap deaths, because mostly the good Resident Evil games, the numbered Resident Evil games, the ones that are comfortable putting a number on, don't really do cheap deaths. And if they do, then it's kind of meant to be a joke. Like if you shoot the lake in Resident Evil 4 and Delago just eats you. This is technically a numbered installment. It's a weird number, but it is a number. But it had the most what I would call cheap deaths out of anything here. Not just because of things like, oops, you had the wrong character loaded out before this boss fight where you got split up, but also things like, I enter a drawing room, and there's a little chess game on the desk with a couple pieces left. And in the middle of the floor is also a giant chessboard with giant man-sized chess pieces, because of course it is. And, okay, it's a quote-unquote puzzle. I have to line up the pieces on the floor to match the ones on the little game.
Seems simple enough.
There is one safe, correct chess piece that you can interact with. It's technically the only one out of position. It's just moving some of the others to get it in position, and then moving those back would be more convenient than taking the long way around. If you touch any of the others, the room fills with poison gas and you die.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this game, Shinji Mikami did not direct this one, would you believe? He's credited as, like, executive producer, but I think they just stamped his name on it for branding. There's a lot of cheap nonsense like that, and, like, it never made me rage quit, but it definitely made me go, like, I've been playing for, like, an hour and a half, that's maybe enough for tonight. Let's do something I actually enjoy. Which is not a feeling I associate with Resident Evil very much. Like, the big Resident Evil games are good. I like them. Okay, like, 6 is a mixed bag, and, but by and large, this is a good series. People love it. And I love it. I love Resident Evil. This one was kind of ass. Like,
yeah,
more than
sounds like it.
Like, and a lot of it was just fundamental design decisions that could have been done differently. In the case of the item box, literally just bring back what you already did, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Oh, the cheap deaths, by the way, not a great pairing with the fact that this is also still the era where saving consumes a finite resource.
Oh, gross.
Yep.
Boo. You hate to see it.
You do. You really do. Did I make it through okay? Yeah. Died more times than I feel like I should have because some of those were cheap, but yeah, made it through. Will I ever play this again? No. You cannot make me. Like, I might force myself through the rest of the franchise at this point, and I know there's some clunkers still to go, but 0 is a 1 and done. Well, I guess it's a 0 and done. It's a 0 out of 10 is what it is, really. Like, I can't believe that they did not change the gameplay at all for the re-release. Because, like, when they did the GameCube re-release for Resident Evil 1, they genuinely changed a lot of the systems around. Like, it's not just, oh, we'll rearrange this puzzle a bit. Like, they introduced the entire concept of, like, burning zombie corpses with oil so they wouldn't come back later. That was not in the original PlayStation version. They added that system after the fact, and it worked. It was a good addition that helped with the balancing.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that Capcom didn't. And, like, all of their modern re-releases are also really good. Like, 2, 3, 4 have had amazing remakes. Very thoughtful remakes that looked very carefully at, like, what worked, what was mandatory, and what could we and should we replace with something better. And none of that ever touched this game at all. It is exactly as terrible now as it was back in the day, except it's prettier.
And that does raise the question, like, because those remakes of 2, 3, and 4 are, like, from the ground up remakes.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a version of Resident Evil 0 where they did a fully from the ground up and added, like, the item crate back in and made the inventory system not suck donkey doo-doo, and, like, made a lot of the deaths not as cheap, where you're like, okay, this is a playable video game now? Or is, like, the other stuff just also not good enough that they would basically just have to make it an entirely new game?
I honestly think there is a good game hidden in there if they're willing to go that route. I think a ground-up remake where, like I said, we change the inventory system, maybe we bring in, like, over-the-shoulder aiming, get rid of the tank controls, give the player control over the camera, things like that. Like, because almost everything I've talked about is, like, systems issues and design issues, and that is something they've been willing to fix with those remakes.
Yeah.
So I think so. Like, there are Resident Evil games where I'm not sure they're redeemable like that. Like, I haven't played Code Veronica yet, but I am well acquainted with it from watching other people play it. And I'm not sure there is a version of Code Veronica that's good unless you're willing to rewrite a lot of the story to make it less transphobic. So that's a different topic for a different podcast. I think there is a good version of this game in here somewhere. Like, there's something to be salvaged. But it came from a very rough era of the series when they were kind of spinning their wheels. They were doing like the remake of 1, and then they made this, and they had done Code Veronica, which is a mixed bag, like I said, that has not aged well, and also they themselves were not confident enough in it to actually slap the number 4 on it, and it shows. And that's not even me getting into the Resident Evil Outbreak games, which are like, what if we got 2/3 of the way to being Left 4 Dead, and it turns out that last third really makes all the difference because this is terrible? Oof. It came from a rough era. The company's in much better shape now. I think there is something to be had here. Rebecca Chambers, like I said, she's in 1, but she kind of sort of hovers around the periphery of the franchise to this day. Like, there's 3D animated Resident Evil movies completely unrelated to the Paul W.S. Anderson ones.
And presumably also better.
They're also better. And they're also kind of sort of canon, actually.
That's
those
the worst kind of canon.
Yeah. And those establish that she is like a doctor of medicine who retired from stars, and it's all good. So nice to see her. Meanwhile, poor Billy is still stuck in the milk carton. Like, have you seen this man? But could it be good? Yeah, kind of. It would still suffer from being kind of pointless. Like, it's a plot cul-de-sac of a revenge story by a villain we've never heard of and which doesn't succeed. Spoilers. So it will never be necessary to play this, ever. But
unless they decide to bring Dr. What's-His-Face, whose name I've already forgotten, Dr. Leech Wizard back to the franchise somehow. They'll find a way. It's Resident Evil.
Dr. Marcus, yeah. There's a massive painting you find of him when you get to the mansion. Not his, like, hot young form, his old decrepit before he died form. And I was playing this with a friend of mine, and when I got to it, she just said, like, remarked to herself, if I commissioned a black velvet oil painting of myself, and that's what I got, I would shoot the painter and then, like, give up on the notion of painting as a redeemable art form entirely.
Holy crap.
I told him to capture my good sides. I am looking at something devoid of good sides, which is about that's about the best parable you can draw for this game as a whole as you're gonna get. Thank you and good night. I have said my piece. I need a long break before I touch a Resident Evil game again. Although I've been hearing good things about Requiem. You know, like, I wouldn't mind checking out Requiem sometime.
Yeah.
But at some point I'm gonna have to do Code Veronica.
We've already done 2 podcasts on it.
And at some point I'm going to have to do the Outbreak games. And I'm going to have to do Revelations 2. I don't want to do Revelations 2. It's worse than Revelations 1.
You can choose to not. Unless you have made it your
I don't follow. I fail to understand.
All right, that's going to take us to the part of the show where we talk about what we're going to be playing in the near future. You will not be surprised to discover that mine is still Monster Hunter Stories 3. I'm playing it, I promise. I'm nearing, like, I think I've hit over 40 hours of playtime now, and I am making plot progress. It's just a very long game, but it is very good. How about you, Seskra?
I have a lot I want to get to. Like, I've mentioned some of these already. Like, I want to get to Requiem. I want to get to things like Unbeatable. But in the immediate future, what I'm really hoping to get to is Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. I finally bought it.
I love me some Mega Man Battle Network games.
Mm-hmm. This has actually been on my radar for longer than most people think it is. Because I've been meaning to get into these games for, like, 14 years. Like, I read reviews of them in Endgamer magazine when I was still a teenager and was like, that looks sick. I don't have a Game Boy Advance, but I should consider getting one because these games look good. Fast forward. I still don't have a Game Boy Advance, but
the market has accommodated me on this, and I am very much hoping to check those out in the near future. They look like excellent games to sort of like play while I'm talking with friends, and I'll keep you posted.
Hell yeah. All right, that's going to do it for our episode of N Focus. Ooh, this is a long one.
Can you tell I had a lot to get off my chest about Resident Evil?
And the episodes where we cover like announcement live streams always tend to be a bit longer than usual. So I hope you all enjoyed listening to it. It's going to be take me a bit to edit, I think, but it should be coming out hopefully tomorrow at time of recording. We'll see. You'll. This doesn't matter anymore by the time you're hearing this. But I hope you all enjoyed listening to it. I know we all had a very good time recording it. Rosalie will most likely be back for the next one when she's feeling a little more rested. Of course, stick around for the ending segments where we talk about all the social medias, although we've already shielded a bunch of those over the course of the episode as well. And have a good one, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Hilke here. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to this episode of N Focus. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us get noticed. Also, please tell your friends if you think they'd be interested. Word of mouth really helps too. You can also listen and subscribe on Spotify, other podcast services, and YouTube. And if you are listening on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to check out our sister show, Game Podular Unfocused. Seskra is on Unfocused, and you like more of them, that'll be the place to go. You can follow us on Blue Sky and at GamePodular.com for updates, news, and other content. Links to all of our socials, including our Discord and Blue Sky, may be found at our Linktree. If you'd like to support our shows, you can buy us a coffee or become a Game Podular patron on the Patreon. The details for both are on our website. Thanks. This episode was edited by me, Hilke. You can follow me at gear12turbo.eurosky.social on Blue Sky. I was joined today by Seskra, who you can find at seskrathespider.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. Have a good one!